Hi, I'm David James. Welcome back to Bridging the Gap. We're here today with Adam Corry, which is the Executive Director of the Environmental Health and Services and also the Acting Landfill Superintendent.
Yep.
Adam.
Nice to see you, sir. How are you?
Great to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
All right. Wycomico County, born and raised.
Okay.
Went to Bennett High School, graduated from Salisbury University. I came out of college, did a couple different things really quick, but my main goal of going to school was to become a public servant. My mother and my uncle were kind of both my icons growing up as far as a career path.
Okay.
My uncle worked for Maryland Department of the Environment, retired from there, and my mother worked for Maryland Department of Health at Somerset County Health Department, and retired from there, and that's kind of what pushed me into the career path I got into.
Nice. So you said you're here, you're from here in Wycomico,
Yep.
so you've seen what's going on in Wycomico for all these
Sure.
years as far as with the landfill. Okay. What is the current situation with the landfill?
So the current situation with the landfill, for folks who may not, I know a lot of folks have been paying attention to landfill recently, and I'm happy about that for the following reason. Obviously, it's not always good to have your facility front and center for things that aren't always positive. But
Sure.
what I do like about the fact that we're talking about the landfill is a lot like other things that I've dealt with in my career with the state of Maryland before coming to the county. Whether it's flushing a toilet, whether it's putting a bag of trash into the dumpster, most people, right or wrong, at the end of the day, as long as that toilet flushes and as long as that garbage doesn't end up on the side of the road or somewhere in the river, most people don't pay a whole lot of mind beyond that.
This is true.
So folks don't necessarily get into like what actually happens at a landfill. Since coming on board, and of course, our team shares this same sentiment, is that we don't refer to the landfill as a dump because
Okay.
our landfill is not a dump. Our landfill is a modern solid waste facility.
Okay.
It's a sanitary landfill. Obviously, it means it's lined. We have leachate controls, landfill gas controls, a plethora of environmental regulatory oversight, including groundwater monitoring, air quality monitoring,
Wow.
you name it. It is truly a science project every day of the week.
Nice. Yeah, it's definitely a place where my dad likes to hang out. He
Yep.
does a lot of trips up there to the landfill.
Yep.
So right now, what's going on? What's the situation?
One of the issues we've identified with our landfill is that, unfortunately, some of the information the county had, and when I say the county, I mean the powers that be,
Okay.
whether it was council, previous administrations, the current administration, the public, there's data that was on the books that gave a false sense of security of how much life was left in our landfill. When I came on board last year, and then the executive asked if I would take a look into the landfill, and then I actually effectively took over operations in October of last year. Really started looking at the writing on the wall, going, something it just doesn't seem right physically when you look at how much materials come into our landfill, how quickly it's gaining elevation out of cell 8, for example, which is the current cell that we're in, which is a relatively small cell, all things being included. And it's time to start gathering additional data. Well, when you go from what was a previously determined 20-year lifespan, and then that gets narrowed down to 7, and then down to 5, and then you do another aerial survey, which the landfill should have been doing on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
There was like a 10-year period when there was not aerial surveys being performed. And unfortunately, when you're not getting that really conclusive data, you're making some assumptions that can be detrimental to the future of the facility. So once we started really truly gathering good data, we realized it's time to put a plan of action into play. So where we're at now is that cell 8 and the remaining airspace over cells 9 and 10, the previous 2 cells to cell 8, and then some area that we have other places in the landfill. What we're trying to do is get obviously you want to fit as much as a density into the airspace volume that you have. We're effectively trying to beat the clock right now before we get cell 7 open.
Now, before you, was there anybody that was running a place there?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the county has a long history of having superintendents in place and operations supervisors. And
so how did it go under the radar for so long?
Again, I think, taking nothing away from the previous leadership that was at the landfill at all, I think, again, when you get data that may not necessarily be accurate as it should be, and you do get a false sense of security. And we'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow night. Well, I'm sorry, not tomorrow night. It's a day meeting tomorrow on the 15th. We'll be talking about this a little bit more as far as the previous consulting firm, engineering firm that the county had in its retainer
Sure.
versus the group that we're working with now on the amount of cubic yardage of space that was left available for utilization of filling. And then you take into consideration your actual grading permits, your final plans, how that's all going to work out math-wise. At the end of the day, it's just a space and time equation. When you have, again, this false sense of security that you got this extra time, the alarm bells don't start ringing until it's too late. And I feel like that's where we find ourselves today.
Now, of course, you're talking a lot of languages above where I would understand. I mean, it seems like you got a lot of years' experience in this kind of work.
So I was very, very blessed to be able to get a job with the state of Maryland that I went to school for. Right, I graduated college with a lot of folks that, God bless them, they're doing other things. Right, they might be attending bar somewhere, which is cool. I wouldn't mind getting that cash money sometimes, but I was able to get into the position that I wanted to get into. Like I said before, I followed into my mother's and my uncle's footsteps of going into state service. I worked for the Maryland Department of Health first, and then I went to Maryland Department of the Environment. I am a licensed environmental health specialist, and I have a lot of great colleagues that I keep in contact with on a regular basis that are also LEHSs, and the majority of your field staff there at the health department, for example, they're all licensed environmental health specialists. It's a professional license the state requires for people that are in those jobs. The background and knowledge base that's necessary to even become licensed is immense. I mean, that licensure examination that I took long ago, but it covers epidemiology, it covers zoonotic diseases, institutional health, foodborne safety, landfills, on-site sewage disposal, municipal wastewater treatment plants, solid waste, the list goes on and on and on.
Sure.
But I've been very fortunate to kind of have a little bit of everything as I've gone through my career, and worked with a lot of really good people at Maryland Department of the Environment that really took me under their wing in some of the other genres that I didn't necessarily deal with every day. And, I feel, personally, I'll just tell you, I truly believe that career path that I chose prepared me for coming here to the county and being able to use my services and my talents here for the betterment of the county. So
the place that you were raised.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Okay, so you would say that you're very much qualified to know what's going on at the landfill.
Certainly, I mean, as far as on paper, for sure, and I think I've proven myself to be qualified for this position without a doubt. Now, of course, I wasn't hired to come in here and be the landfill superintendent. I was hired to help stand up the sanitary district and the desire that we want to go forward with provision of water and sewer out in certain parts of the county.
I know about that.
Since then, I've again taken over the landfill operation on a day-to-day, although we are currently searching for a superintendent. That job is posted. We are looking for that, but I'm working on that. I'm working on the dredging projects in the county, working with our other partners in public works and at the airport with underground storage tank and above ground storage tank fuel systems, and it's pretty innovative time for the Department of Public Works right now. We're standing up a lot of pretty big things.
Wow. Yeah. So we definitely won't want to say that you got light work as far as your job description.
No.
Now, as far as the situation that's going on with the landfill, thank you for what you said about that. But what is the right course of action to remedy the problem?
I think right now, again, getting the communication out there to the council, getting it out there to the hauling community, getting it out there to the public. Because again, the general public a lot of times doesn't really understand what's going on the day-to-day. I think where we stand right now in this collaborative effort with the introduction of legislation by the council, and we always appreciate that input that we get from both sides of the elected official spectrum, whether it's the council or the administration, to try to build something that's going to work for the public good and keep us moving into the future.
Sure.
Right now, one of the main things that we've been looking at is getting rid of waste that's coming in from outside of our county.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, isn't it?
It is, and it's hard to put a number on how much material is coming in.
Sure.
We don't do spot checks of every single load of material that comes in. The Code of Federal Regulations actually requires us through the EPA to perform vehicle inspection reports on haulers to prevent the inadvertent acceptance of hazardous material. Right? So we're not a hazardous material landfill. We're a municipal solid waste landfill. So you don't want to take in anything you're not supposed to. While we're doing these, though, you see the telltale signs, and it's like the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, the song by Gordon Lightfoot, where he says, "Superior, they say, never gives up her dead."
Right.
Well,
right.
The landfill doesn't either until you see that Amazon box, and that Amazon box has got addresses on it from you would not believe, just everywhere. It's amazing.
Wow. Because once it hits the ground, it becomes property.
It's ours, and we got to deal with it. So we want to make sure that the landfill is utilized as a resource for the citizens of Wycomico County.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody that's been involved in this conversation right now, no matter what side of the spectrum you fall on, as far as the leadership of the county, I think everybody's in agreement that we shouldn't be taking waste from outside of our county.
Well, we shouldn't be. No,
I don't think so.
We got enough trash that we got to deal with.
I agree.
But one thing I definitely want to say is, upon talking to you on the phone and even right before we went on the air, is that you made a good point about the landfill. I mean, there's no spot just for Republicans or Democrats trash. Everybody's trash comes. So this is not a political matter.
It shouldn't be. I understand that politics gets into it. I get it. That's not why I'm here.
Sure, exactly.
I'm here to try to do everything I can every day to make the things work for the county that I know we need to have work. That thing's been there a long time, and it has to adapt to the time. Whether that's inflation and tipping fees, whether it's the amount of material coming into our landfill and ensuring that we're protecting that. Whether it's taking a look and saying, hey, what's our economy looking like? What is our growth trends looking like as far as citizens are concerned? The number of people moving to our area.
Right.
What does the business intensification look like? All these things go into how you calculate what your future of trash trends are going to look like. And want to make sure that we cover our bases there.
Now, is the idea of closing a landfill one day a week, is that on the table still? Or?
So I'll let the administration answer that question.
Sure.
Dave. I think that's their question to answer at this time.
Okay.
I'm pretty encouraged with what I understand right now that our session is going to look like with council tomorrow.
Okay.
If we can get to the point where we are all in agreement that we're not taking out the county trash, I think that's going to make a big difference.
Good.
Will we see a precipitous drop in tonnage immediately? I really hope we do.
Right.
We need to really be taking a look at tonnage trends. I've already ordered another aerial survey to be completed in December. But no matter what, we can't take our foot off the gas pedal. It is time to push forward with Cell 7, which we're already moving forward with.
Sure.
I encourage folks to look at tomorrow day meeting and the presentation we're going to put forward to let you know not only where we got the data to say where we are, but what we're doing to make sure we don't get into a jam where we have to be telling folks, I'm sorry, we got to transfer waste out of this county at a significant cost. That's no place we should be.
No.
Yeah, we shouldn't be in that position.
So Cell 7, how far are we from getting
So right now we are at about 60% design plan.
Okay.
The biggest part of that is you got to figure out where your sump placement's going to be. Now, when I talk about sump placement, it's funny. It's fortuitous. This table's right here, just the way it is. If you think about the bottom of a landfill cell, think about this interior space as the bottom of your cell. You have to set your drainage grades correctly so that at one side or one corner, if you will, out of the four, that's where you're getting your leachate collection drainage to go to, because you're going to line this thing, right? Because you can't let that stuff get in the environment. So you're going to have your liner, your clay material, your dynamic compaction, all that. When we started, before we had our geotechnical work out there being performed a few weeks ago by a drilling association, or excuse me, a drilling company, we did some spot checking with our own equipment and our own staff, and to find out where that old historic trash is, because it's under there. There's old historic trash underneath there.
I'm sure.
And we kind of made a game. We kind of shifted right then and there and said, we can't afford, number one, the time, nor can we afford to have to take out many tens of thousands of cubic yards of old trash and soil and put it up on cell 8 and 9 and 10. We don't have the room for it. So what I asked our engineering firm to do is go back to the drawing board, reassess the direction of the sump as it was designed in the 2006 permit modification, and let's change it. Not a big deal. MDs should be like, yep, understood. We know why you're doing it. Determine our stormwater management, which we've already had surveying crews out there. Work very, very closely with Mr. Neil Hallowell and Mr. Dara Kolar of EA Engineering and Sciences and Technology. Mr. Kolar will be with me tomorrow during the day at the table as well. Great firm. They do a lot of good work, and
Good.
so we're moving forward. There's literally at this point, you've got the foundation and the body of the document created. It's now time for your electrical engineering, some other things like that.
Blueprints and things.
Yeah, I actually have 60% plans that I've got on my slideshow tomorrow. Yeah,
Sensational.
Not the whole thing, obviously. It's tons of paperwork.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So and I loved you said a few minutes ago that you're not going to take your foot off the gas.
We can't.
So this means that this is not going to just be Monday. We're going to do it, and Thursday, but we're going to be at this every day till we get it taken care of.
And I got to give credit where credit's due, and I will take the, I'll take the opportunity to say it here on your show, and I've said it before in other places. I don't know my entire career that I've ever worked with people like work at that facility.
Wow.
And I mean that when I say it. They are some of the toughest people I've ever met. They are dedicated to it. You know, throughout all this, you can imagine with the public's involvement, the comments we hear here and there, you know, you would think, man, these guys are going to get down. We make sure our whole team, we make sure these guys are appreciated, these guys and gals, excuse me if we're even allowed to say gals anymore. I'm sorry about that. But you know what I meant by it.
The ladies and gents.
Yeah. Term of endearment. They're tough, and we are all focused on the same pathway forward. So when I talk about that, I talk about how intense our operations are. Typically at a landfill, you've got one open work face in a given day, and you've got all your crews set with those logistics, those operations, those pieces of equipment solely focused on one job. Now, there's other side projects that go on a landfill at any given day, whether it's stormwater management, stabilization of soils, testing, leachate containment management, landfill gas management. It's a really, I'll tell you, I told people before, I'll say it again, there's somewhat romanticism about it. I mean, you fall in love with the place because there's so much going on. If you're a kid that grew up with Tonka toys, if you're a scientist, if you just like the outdoors, I mean, we've got beautiful fawns running all over the property right now, turkeys climbing up the side of the hill, bald eagles, as many as you can count. It's a pretty interesting place.
Wow.
But yeah, our folks, we're focused on so many new things right now every day, like the rear haul road construction that's going on while we're open in cell 8, 9, and 10. The placement of waste into other areas of the landfill where there's still airspace. That's one of the things I'm doing right now to overcome the clock. And when I say the clock, I mean until cell 7's open, is get waste placed in other areas of the landfill that we had forgotten about years ago.
Interesting.
Not that you wouldn't, you know, you wouldn't have planned to use them, but we can use them, so let's use them now versus waiting and possibly running into that wall with cell 7. So logistically, getting the material there, that means building new roads, that means backing vehicles in on a different angle. So it's been quite interesting and quite intense. Just yesterday, today's Monday, right? I kind of forget what day it is. Yeah, just yesterday, me and about six of the crew got together on Sunday.
On Sunday?
We work a lot on Sundays. We actually typically have our roll-off drivers. The landfill's closed, but our roll-off drivers still pick up trash at our convenience centers and recycling material at our convenience centers. So on Sundays, our roll-off drivers will finish up with their routes right around lunchtime. So yesterday, about 11:30, we shut our road down for our own drivers, and then we put in a in-house product altogether, in-house design, in-house machine, and in-house labor and equipment and materials to put in a surface water diversion stormwater management feature about halfway up our haul road between 8 and cell 5. In preparation for cell 7, because as we build cell 7, we can't afford to have surface water careening down into cell 7. So little things like that people don't see, those things are going on every day. Yeah.
It seems like to me that the executive picked the right person for the job here. Now, you made a comment about the Tonka toys.
Yeah.
It sounded like to me you might have been one of those kids here in Y Comico. So this isn't a job for you; it's a passion.
I love it. Really, truly.
Wow.
It's and I loved working for the state too. Don't get me wrong, but if you're beating your alarm clock most days, that's a good thing.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed with that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, how is the council trying to remedy this situation? What's their angle?
Sure. I think, again, we've had some great conversations with the council.
Okay.
I think tomorrow's collaboration, especially as it pertains to the legislation they introduced, I think, again, I'm pleased and I'm very optimistic that we're all going to come to the same, come to an accord that let's stop this out-of-county waste flow. Let's protect this resources that we have for the future of our citizens and here in this county. And then, I think that collaboration is what I'm most impressed about right now.
Okay, so their way of handling it is kind of to sit down and let's get it together. Sound like everybody's on one.
I think tomorrow's work session, and we've been having work sessions with the public, not work sessions like council has. We've had workshops with the public.
Okay.
We've had workshops with haulers, a regular 6-month hauler meeting. I want to continue to do that as we move forward. But yeah, tomorrow's work session is something that I think is going to be great because it's going to give more focus on the numbers, more focus on what actually happens at the landfill. Where do you actually stand on cell 7? These kinds of things that, again, I think sometimes folks just don't realize actually goes into it.
And thank you. Now, without naming any names, you've had some critics, but you're one of those people. I like the fact that you'll challenge them to come and check it out themselves. And you've actually brought critics out there, and they've spent time out there with you. Did they change their mind any?
I certainly hope so. I'm not here to make excuses for anything, and I'm not here to put blame anywhere. We have an issue, and we got to address it. But I want to see the day when we move past having cell 7 open. We are pushing the gas. Again, there's the other thing. You can't wait there either. And I've said this to council.
I was thinking that.
Gas pedal to the floor on 7.
Sure.
While 7's being started, you need to talk about your horizontal expansion. I will have that in my presentation tomorrow as well.
Wow.
And you have to have that forward as well because you don't want to end up in this situation again.
That's what I was thinking. Proactive.
So it is. and to anybody, whether it's someone with curiosity or criticism, I say to both of those parties, or if they've got a little mixture of both, of anybody in the public that wants to come see what we do, I'd love to give tours of the landfill. Because number one, we like to show off our hard work. The employees know that they get this, something that the public truly doesn't really think of as a work product per se.
There's a lot of trash talk around there.
Yeah, right. So, but come see it. Come see it.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times most of the time, I'd say the number one reaction I get from folks when we tour the landfill is, I had no idea. Again, it's just that here's a bag of trash, it goes in a hole, and that's it. There's a lot more to it than that. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've actually been at even some of the city council meetings, and this is actually affecting even the city.
Sure.
Because everybody's going to have to feel the effect of this if we don't have any place to put our trash.
If you don't have anywhere to put it, it really makes it tough.
Now, let me ask you this. Could your team look into other options for our landfills, waste energy or methods to maintain solvency or composting?
Yeah, certainly. So let me break that question into a couple parts. So solvency, I really think, and I've been talking to our finance department about this. We got some great folks down there too, and I'm a scientist, not a finance person, but need to look at possibly even, I don't know what you would call it, not necessarily an audit, but how do you find better ways to not only save money, but make sure your revenue is where it needs to be for your enterprise over a long period of time. One of the things that plagues us is equipment failure. We got a lot of pieces of equipment that they've been out there a long time, and I've said it before. A waste handling piece of machinery, whether it's a compactor, a track loader, dozer, that lives a hard life. I mean, their life expectancy is 5 years.
Imagine.
Because you figure that is in a pretty tough environment.
Sure.
So making sure that you're planning for those things in the future while looking at your tonnage trends and your revenues in. Having a conversation about where tipping fees need to be as we progress through the next 5 to 10 years and more is something we need to start looking at more seriously and have more robust conversations with council, the haulers, and make sure the public's aware of it, moving forward on a regular basis. I know, some of the council members have asked for more of a phased approach to tipping fee increases as we move into the next couple of years. I think that's something that's very important. I'm working with finance on that now of how that would be structured. And again, but it's really taking a deep dive into the needs, the expenses, and
everything's gone up.
Not only that, when you start building cells, it's a huge expenditure. I mean,
absolutely.
Those are $10 and $20 million projects,
right?
Which I agree with. Our finance director. We shouldn't be bonding all that. And if we're only going to use it for 5 years, but we're going to pay interest on it for a good 15 plus,
we need our own.
Yeah, we got to do something better than that.
Wow.
Yeah, I think.
Wow. So do you see the problem that we're dealing with right now coming to a head, or we're going to be able to get it taken care of in time?
I really, really hope, and I hope and pray that we have Cell 7 open and ready for fluff layer while we still have space left. There are things we have in our back pocket to be able to do. And when I mean that, I don't mean some kind of surprise plan to tell people burn your trash in your backyard. I don't mean that.
No.
We have other areas on the landfill, again, that still have permitted airspace. The question is, how do I get to them? So we're evaluating all of that right now. But again, we're not waiting until that point. Right, I don't want to wait until I'm a month away from Cell 7 and go, hey guys, let's build another road in the rear. No, we're doing that now. Ensuring to the utmost that our compaction rates are where they need to be on a daily basis. Obviously the budget's just been passed, obviously, with the new year. But prior to the budget being passed, I did send a letter of intent to Caterpillar because our compactor, for example, and it's going to go in the Guinness Book of World Records, it's like 20,000 hours on that machine.
Oh my God.
Every day I just look at it and I'm like, please, just last for one more day. But when we ordered this new one, the Caterpillar representative said, do you want to order the upgraded software package? Absolutely. The operator that I've got in that compactor every day, he's excellent. He's doing it by line of sight and feel. Imagine you can actually feel underneath a 40,000-pound machine. You can feel it when you have your compaction ready.
Sure.
But if I get the software upgrade on that machine, it's going to have a nice GPS site picture in front of him that shows, a color as he goes over his passes. It's going to tell him, yes, that pass is completely compacted, versus I've left a little bit of orange, yellow, green. You want to make sure it's all red. And that new system that's going to be on that new machine that unfortunately won't be here for probably another 9 months, because once you order it, they've got to be built.
Right. Sure.
But that'll help us in the future.
Yeah. Something to look forward to.
Sure. It's little things like that we need, for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anything?
But the other thing. Yes, I'm sorry. You asked about that was a 3-part question. I started talking too much.
You're okay.
That's my fault. Waste to energy stuff. Really cool things. We've actually put this out there to the public already, but we've literally just wrapped a 6-month due diligence contract with Waga Energy. Waga is a company that originated in Europe. They have facilities all across the world and in the United States. I think the closest one to us, they're Steuben, New York, but I think they're also in talks with Cecil County's landfill.
Okay.
Right now we have a company that is our gas to energy production. Our landfill gas is collected through almost 87 wells that strike down through the landfill and pull our methane and other landfill gases, like hydrogen sulfide. That's why you get that smell when you go by. It's actually not the methane you're smelling, even though the methane's in that concentration.
Okay.
But with that being said, we do try to control our atmospheric emissions. There's heavier regulations that are going into place from the state now that we're taking a heavier look at, and sometimes that's just tweaking vacuum pressures. Believe it or not, sometimes a bald eagle will literally land on top of the gas well and and will pop off the cap, and now you start drawing oxygen in or releasing your landfill gases out. So not to get too long-winded with that, but we have a company that's been there for quite a long time that burns pure methane, its highest concentration of methane. They burn that for production of electricity in turbines. We've, again, been talking with Waga now for a little bit over 6 months, and we're getting ready to really push that forward. We've talked to council about this as well, where they will cryogenically distill methane. And they will actually, instead of burning it to produce electricity, they're going to produce a gas product that will be sold as a renewable natural gas right to the pipeline.
Nice.
So we're in talks with the energy companies around here and Waga on how to do that. Now, it could be, if it all goes well, it could be a really good boost to the finances of the enterprise of the landfill. Also, they don't only want just our good, high-quality methane. They want all of our gas. So we're going to be pulling a greater vacuum on our well field. Greater vacuum on the well field means less rogue emissions of methane and hydrogen sulfide into the environment. These are all good things.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool. Another thing that's just come on board here that we've been working on for a couple of months with Waga, again, is another company that would partner with them and us with an anaerobic digester. So we can start bringing compostable materials out of the waste stream, biosolids residual management like wastewater treatment plant sludges, your poultry byproducts, your all your good stuff, your feathers and beaks and offal and all that kinds of that nasty stuff. But if you can bring that out of the landfill, bring that out of the waste stream, you're saving that tonnage, saving that space.
Right.
And you can produce in an anaerobic digester, for example, a much higher quality methane, just like that, where it takes much longer for the decomposition inside the landfill. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we're already moving those things down regardless. Yep.
Wow, so this sounds like an exciting time. Now, if I could get you to sum up what's going on and what you got focused on, what would you say?
What I've got focused on is running that landfill in a compliant operation on every day. Because regardless of where we stand with Cell 7 or anything else, we have a landfill is probably one of the most heavily regulated facilities anywhere in the country. Besides, nuclear facilities and stuff like that. But you got to figure a landfill's got air, it's got oil, it's got groundwater. All these things are regulated. Surface water and sediment erosion control. There's 8 different divisions of MDE, if give or take, that oversee our landfill in some way, shape, or form. Operating that compliantly is a huge task. So that's always goal number one, and of course, workplace safety as well. Beyond that is just, again, keeping our foot on the gas pedal to get Cell 7 open so that we're not standing here, with our hat in our hands and, having to tell people, I'm sorry, we got to do something different with our trash. Again, we have contingencies that we're going to have, laid out there in case, but I'm hoping and praying we don't have to do that. We do have a timeline we're going to be presenting as well that we've developed with our engineering firm as far as where we stand with the design, the permitting process for MDE, which they have already given us, pretty much their assurances. They're going to give us an expedited review. And it's not like this is a brand new cell somewhere else on another side of a property. This cell was obviously on the footprint of our current plan going way, way back. So the state knows it's coming. And then we talk about our, requests for proposals for construction and then get the thing built.
A guesstimation, because I've heard people say, "Oh, this could be up to 14 months." Guesstimation.
So if you have primo everything,
sure,
you could have as short as an 85-day window in construction. So let's push that out to 100 if things are sloppy here and there, whatever the case may be. You hire the right firm, you hire the right contractor, right? And get everything right. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. Cell 7 is almost identical to Cell 8. The only difference being is that we're placing the sump a little bit differently than the last phased assessment. But I think we're going to be able to get this thing open by the end of May, middle of June. That would be my hope. If it has to be pushed to July, I don't think it's the end of the world. But we have to get a lot more inventive about where we're putting waste in the meantime. And something to keep in mind is wherever we fill areas above and beyond our permitted grades or our grading plan, once we close Cell 7, for example, or even while Cell 7 is still active and we go for horizontal expansion across the road, you got to remove that material and put it somewhere else because you don't want that post-closure, you don't want to leave it there because it wasn't part of the original intent.
And I know that's going to be, time right now is probably of the essence, especially with the fact of the new administration as far on the federal level has opened up. So now people can actually start building again.
Yeah.
So you're going to have building materials everywhere. And how are we going to try to regulate those contractors? Like maybe they may actually be based in Wicomico, but are doing Ocean City jobs.
I see a lot of Ocean City trash. Well, all right, so that's kind of a good question, and I'll try to touch on it just a little bit without going too far down a rabbit hole.
Right, no, don't.
Your roll-off containers, right? When you talk about that kind of trash hauler, and some of these companies have both. They have your roadside pickup with your front loader or side loader style, compactor style trash truck everybody's seen going around everywhere since you were a kid. Then you've got what's called open tops, your roll-offs. The roll-offs are the ones that they drop an empty container at a job site for a week and they come pick it up next week or something like that. Or you've got your smaller dumpsters that are sitting outside of a grocery store, for example, or a Burger King or whatever.
Sure.
Those particular haulers, it makes sense for them to keep and take the trash from their jurisdiction to our landfill. Once you start getting too far out there, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and here's why. That truck's empty. It doesn't have a bin on it at all. It's not like he can pull a whole bin, come to the landfill, dump it. He's got to take that back, empty. When you have a municipal hauler who is going way out of his way or her way, to go into places like Princess Anne, West Ocean City, Sussex County, Delaware, even as far as I had an Amazon box just the other day from Gypsy Hill in Cambridge. You're making this big loop, and then you're ending your day in Wycomico County or holding that trash overnight and dumping it the next morning to save on the tipping fee. Again, an open roll-off container is a little different as far as regulating it from the standpoint of whatever legislation comes out of council tomorrow.
Interesting.
But if we all come to an accord that out-of-county trash, we're not accepting it anymore, hey, haulers, sorry.
Period.
We're not doing it, and here's what's the consequences if you do, and you do a spot check inspection on the material. Again, that stuff doesn't lie. I mean, when you pull it up, you see. And we have, since we've been doing enhanced monitoring of what material's been coming in from not from the standpoint of hazardous materials with Code of Federal Regulations, but just to see, hey, what really do we have coming in from out of the county? I mean, listen, the drivers are honest. They'll be like, I was in Ocean City all day today, man. You know, or they'll say, yep, this is all Princess Anne trash. Now, does it make sense for a Princess Anne hauler that's picking up his last part of his load in Wycomico to go to Wycomico instead of going to Westover? Yeah, of course it does. Why would he go from Princess Anne to Westover? You know what I mean? I'm not saying I figure out their business model or routes, but if you make a circular route back to a central location, which is the Newland Park landfill, it's got to make sense somehow, or they wouldn't be doing it. I don't begrudge them for it. But we got to stop. We got to stop.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's all I have for you. I appreciate you coming in.
Yep, anytime.
And keep doing the great job you're doing over there. I think that the county is very blessed to have you over there, not only working as acting landfill superintendent, but also especially working in environmental services.
Yeah, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
This has been Bridging the Gap.